Hello and welcome to the special business meeting for the District of Squamish for Tuesday, January 14th. Holland Squallen, Clistuktumuk, Kla Squamish Okmeo. As always, we're gathered to do our work today on the traditional and unceded territory of the Squamish Nation. Please be advised that this council meeting is being live streamed, recorded, and will be available to the public to view on the District of Squamish website following the meeting. If you have concerns, please notify the corporate officer present at the meeting. Could I have someone move adoption of the agenda, please? Moved by Councillor Hamilton, seconded by Councillor French. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So our first order of business is a staff report regarding a short-term rental enforcement fund grant application endorsement. And I'll turn it over to our staff to run us through.
Just get the presentation queued up here. Good afternoon, Chair and Council members. My name is Asia Philp, planner with the Community Development Department, and today I'll be presenting information on the recently announced federal short-term rental enforcement grant. So staff are seeking council endorsement to apply for this federal short-term rental enforcement fund grant. I'm going to shorten this to the acronym STREF for the remainder of the presentation. The STREF grant provides up to 2 years of funding to municipalities with existing strict short-term rental regulatory regimes to support the local enforcement of STR restrictions. So the intended goal of the STREF grant is to limit STRs that take away housing units from the long-term housing market across the country. Eligible STR program costs include wages and employment-related costs for STR program staff, procurement of enforcement and compliance services, and legal proceeding costs. So if council authorization is received, staff would apply for the full cost of the district's current STR regulatory program for 2025 and 2026, which is approximately $200,000 per year. STR program services and associated annual costs are summarized in the table shown above. No scope expansions or increases in service levels are proposed. Grant funding would cover the STR program's enforcement and compliance measures, supporting preservation of Squamish units for long-term rental housing, while enabling the STR license revenues to be redirected to other district projects and priorities for the next couple of years. So that concludes my presentation. Staff recommendation is that council authorize an application to the STREF to fund the full cost of the district's 2025 and 2026 STR program as outlined in the associated staff report. Thanks, and I'll turn it back to the chair for questions and discussion.
Thank you very much. Councillor Pettingill.
Yeah, thanks. So my understanding of the report was that one of the reasons we're not looking for a scope expansion is because we're enjoying 75% compliance. But when I looked back at what I believe was our prior STR report, unless I looked at the wrong one, we were at 48% compliance last we heard. So to me, that suggests a significant jump in compliance. And so I'm just sort of wondering what's going on there, and have we really seen that magnitude of improvement in compliance? Or
Sure. So through the chair, yes, we have seen that increase in compliance. Our enforcement and compliance team, there's several new staff, and they are doing an incredibly good job and have really stepped it up. That's in tandem with the province getting into the game last year with their announcement and their legislation and bringing in all of their data tracking and agreements with Airbnb to data share and starting up their own enforcement and compliance unit. So that's kind of all come together to lead to this large increase in compliance.
okay, thank you. I appreciate that clarification. I wonder if we've maybe buried the lead in this report, but it's good news. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Yep, go ahead, Councillor Greenlaw.
Thanks. I was just curious, it's my understanding that from like a bylaw perspective, we operate from a cost recovery model. So if we apply for this grant, does that at all impact how we might enforce and the fines that we might levy?
Through the chair, no, it is essentially our business license revenues cover the costs of operating the program. And there's not any foreseeable shift from that if we get the grant.
Okay, thanks.
Not to put the cart before the horse, but let's just say we're successful here. What would the decision-making process look like for reallocating the funds that we're now able to secure through this program?
Yeah, I'll start and then perhaps finance can add to it if they want to. The process would be covered off in the spring amendment with council deciding how they choose to reallocate those funds.
Okay, and does the approval timeline line up with that? Like, is it that fast? I remember this coming in it feels like it was just prior to Christmas. So thank you for turning it around so quickly. But are we expecting a decision that soon?
Yeah, so through the chair, the federal employees that are administering the grant gave a presentation, and in that presentation, they said they're anticipating that they'll be making decisions kind of March. So we do anticipate that it could align with the spring amendment. We don't know for sure.
If I might
Okay.
just add to that, given that Parliament is prorogued, we haven't heard any other news yet, but there is a chance that it would delay decisions around the grant
Okay.
allocation.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, don't want to get into too much speculation about federal politics as well, but I appreciate that context. Okay, any other questions on this topic? We do have a recommendation before us. If we're ready for that, are you moving that, Councillor Hamilton? Is that a second, Councillor Penningo? Are you just holding your pen that way? Like you're going to see it all the. Okay, go ahead if you want to speak to it.
I think this is a pretty obvious grant to be applying for. This is enforcement and regulation that we have in place that we need to be doing. And so in order to get the opportunity to get federal support or provincial support to do this just seems obvious. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yeah, just to reiterate my thanks for putting this together. I could see other communities needing this to stand up an enforcement piece. So I hope that the fact that we have one doesn't affect the scoring here. We can be successful in this, but I think it's vitally important that we pursue every funding opportunity that presents itself. So, and this one fits with something that we're doing already, which is great. So thank you so much for that. Happy to support. I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Next, we're looking for a motion to close. Moved by Councillor Stoner, second by Councillor Hamilton. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. So we'll take a quick recess here. We usually need 10 or 15 minutes to switch over. Is that right, staff? So we'll reconvene at 1:45 in the closed. Thank you. And there was a closed link in your agenda.